pen. All right, so lesson 12, Pythagorean theorem, but now we're going to be doing it just with like problem solving. So try to put it like in some real world applications, or sometimes you have to solve like one step first and use that to solve something else. So it just kind of like brings it up another level of complication or difficulty. So, all right, so let's move down. And again, I think for the most part, you guys can look through these, right? They're good examples of how to work on some of these. Okay, so yeah, jump to the practice makes perfect for now. All right, so here's our problem. It says Jason and Sam are flying a kite. The kite is 10 meters above Jason's feet. Sam is on the ground 8 meters away from Jason, holding the kite string. How long is the kite string? All right, so first off here, let's just kind of figure out what we're actually looking at, right? So it says the kite is 10 meters above Jason's feet. So if this is my little picture that we have set up here, right? What would be 10 meters? So if I'm figuring about... So if I'm trying to figure out whether that 10 is A or B in this case, like what do you guys think? It's A, right? Yeah, so it's above. So it's talking about that. So I'm just going to put in 10 there. I kind of jumped past this part too. You guys can usually just make a picture and then kind of put the numbers in. All right, so that's going to be 10. What will B be? That's going to be 8, right? Sam's on the ground 8 meters away from Jason, holding the kite string, right? So that's going to be 8 meters. Do you guys kind of see what we're setting up here? This looks Pythagorean theorem-y. Nice. Yeah, so this is a classic A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared question. Okay, so you guys should be writing this down too, right? So let's I should do it in the right order. Write that here. Write the formula and substitute it in. So that's going to be A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. All right, so what am I going to put in for A squared? 10, right? So that's really 10 squared plus 8 squared is equal to C squared. All right, so 10 squared, anybody know what that is off the 100? Yeah, so that's 100. Plus 8 squared is, yeah, nice, 64. So 164 is equal to C squared. So is that it? Is the length of the string 164?
No, square root.
Square root, right? Yeah, because that was equal to C squared. I don't want C squared, I want C. So I'm going to square root both sides. So the square root of 164 ends up being 12.8. Okay, we'll leave it as 12.8. So 12.8. So that makes more sense, right? The hypotenuse would always be, you know, longer than these ones, but not way out to lunch, right? So like I said before, review your answers, just make sure that they kind of make sense, right? Even if I would have got a number like 30 there, that would have been far too big, right? That wouldn't have made any sense. Okay. All right, so that's the idea. So let's move on to the next one. Oh. Okay, so now that one was kind of given to us. So now what we're going to be doing is kind of making our own picture, right? So it's going to be something to do with a triangle, but we're going to be given a situation. We got to draw it and then go from there. So here's your steps to remember when you're doing these. But again, I think let's just kind of jump into some. All right. So this question says, a swinging gate has outside dimensions of 30 inches by 38 inches. Okay. What is the length of the diagonal support to the nearest inch? All right. So if we're looking at this picture, right? Like, let's figure out what we're looking at here. This thing is saying that the dimensions are 30 by 38, right? So what that means is that, let's say, the height of this thing, up and down, would be, let's say 30. We don't really know which one it was. It was 30 by 38. So it's either 30 or 38, but it's actually not going to matter when we finish here. So that one will be 30. Yeah, it will for the, because we're going to be looking for the hypotenuse, right? Now, it says the gate is 30 by 38, so then the top part of the gate here is going to be 38. Yeah, like I said, that could have been the other way around too. It could have been 30 and 38 the other way. It probably would be the other way, but we'll leave it like this now that we've drawn it. Now, what's it asking for? It's saying, what's the length of the diagonal support? So you might not be able to see it from your picture, especially being in black and white, but there's a support of the gate going right down there. Do you guys kind of see the right angle triangle that we've created? Yeah. Right? So there we go. So now we can actually just solve for, let's call that x. You can call that c if you wanted to. All right. Again, just, I don't know, I'm lazy. Let's skip step 1. This one says draw and label the diagram. So they actually drew it in there for us. You guys see how my triangle looks a little bit different than their triangle? Yeah. We could have drawn it different. We could have drawn it the other way here too, where I could have made it down this way and over, and this would have been 30 and 38. Actually, doesn't matter which way you draw your triangle there, right? Be the same answer in the end. So I'll use my triangle. I like my triangle better.
Seems a little biased.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just make that same. So that's going to be 38. This side's 30, and our hypotenuse would be x. So we're starting to get a little better at this. We can write down our formula. So this will be, a squared plus b squared is equal to, I called it x, so x squared. That could have been c if I would have called that c. Doesn't really matter if it's a c or if it's an x. Okay, so then let's plug it in. So a we'll call 30 squared plus 38 squared is equal to x squared. Yeah, so we get 900. And what did you say the other one was? 1,444 is equal to x squared. So we end up getting 2,344 is equal to x squared. All right, so is that it? No. Square root. 48.4. So we get 48.4. I'll keep it rounded to that, is equal to x. Okay, so there you go. That would be the length of our diagonal support. And again, just review your answer, make sure it makes sense, right? And yeah, I think we're in the right ballpark there. So, all right. Okay, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to see if you guys can do this one. So read through the question. Well, here, I'll help you read through. So it says, a Blackfoot nation is planning a powwow. A teepee for the central gathering place needs to have a radius of 18.5 feet and a height of 22.25 feet in the center of the teepee. Okay, so then a rawhide tarp makes up the wall of the teepee. From the ground to the top of the teepee, what is the length of the rawhide wall to the nearest hundredth of a foot? All right, so can I get you guys to try to sort that one out? Like, what are we looking for? Maybe draw like a little triangle in there somewhere. Okay, so the hardest part about these is just figuring out what it's asking, right? Like, what are we doing here? So I could draw it right on the picture here, but I think what I'll do is I'll make my own cone for a picture here. So let's draw a teepee. So I'm going to just make an oval for the bottom if I can get this right. Thank you. Make the top of it there. And there is a perfect teepee.
I wouldn't say perfect.
Okay, so when it says radius, right, this part might be throwing people off. The radius of the circle on the bottom. Can you guys imagine that if this was the center of the circle on the bottom, the radius would be from here to here? Yeah? Okay, so if that's the radius, it told us what it is, right? It says it's 18.5 feet. So it's 18.5 feet from there to there. Here, I'll make that a different color. So that's 18.5 feet. And then what other info did we get? It says that the height, it has a height of 22.25 feet in the center. Can you guys kind of picture in my cone there, or my teepee, where that's going to go? Right from the center to the top, right? And maybe you're seeing how we're piecing this together now. So this is 22.25. And the question was saying, what did it say? From the ground to the top of the teepee, what is the length of the rawhide wall to the nearest hundredth of a foot? So it's talking about this. What's the length from here to here, from the top of it down to the ground? Do you guys see the right angle triangle we got going on here?
Okay, I had it right, and I just didn't know.
Okay, so now that we have that, let's write down our formula. So a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Does it matter which one I put in for a or b?
No, not really.
No, doesn't matter. So I'll just call this 22.25 squared plus 18.5 squared is equal to c squared. Here, you know what? I'll bring up my calculator. Okay, so with the calculator here, yeah, I'm going to go 22.25. And then your squared button might look different. Mine is x to the 2 right there, so squared. And then I can do this in all in one move too, right? So I've done that part, so I've squared that, and that's what it's equal to. But now if I just go plus, and now I can just add in the other part. So plus 18 squared, and then don't forget to press equals. So there you go. That's what both of them squared would be. So that would be 819.06.
You put 18, you can put 18.5.
25 equals c squared. And then, okay, what's my last step? Square root. So then I can leave that number in my calculator and just press the square root button. So my square root looks like that. So I just press that one, and it's 28.6. This kind of scares kids sometimes because they think this is like a giant number. The decimal is right at the beginning, right? So this is really just 28.6.
Mine was 28.9.
Yeah, mine was 28.9.
Why do you think we might have been different? You guys got 28.9 and mine was a little bit different. What do you think happened? All right, so the class found that I made a mistake. Let's go back.
Rewind.
All right, so what I did, I put in 18 squared. You can look back up here. So it's 18.5 squared, and this should have been 837.3125 equals c squared. Okay, and then last step, now we'll square root that, both sides.
28.936.
So what'd you get? 29,
8.936.
so 28.9. Let's see. Oh yeah, sorry, but the one to the nearest hundredth, right?
Yeah.
So 28.936, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you guys remember what the hundredth spot is?
Third decimal.
It's actually just the second. So the first one's the 10th, second one's the hundredth spot. So would I round it to 28.93?
28.94.
Yeah, why 4?
Just because it's a bigger number.
Yeah, it's because of the 6 on the other side, right? If this is 5 or larger, it's going to round it up. So 28.94. And then what units were we using? Feet. Okay, moving on. Multiple calculations in the same problem. So just adding a level of difficulty here. So let's jump into it. All right, to the nearest 10th, determine the value of y in the diagram shown. I'm going to see if you guys can just get this one on your own. Just see if you can try it, and if you can't, that's fine. We'll work through it together, but give it a go. Yeah, I just want to get you guys thinking about it first before we got going, right? So the idea here, we want to solve for y, right? So if this is the goal, if I'm looking for y, we can always solve for one of the sides of the triangle if you have the other two. Right, so if I knew what this side was, right, let's say if I knew that this was 15 or something, then I could just use Pythagorean theorem to solve for y, right? The problem is right now, I don't have this side. So the question becomes a little different. Now I'm going to be like, okay, I don't have that side. Can I figure out this side? How can I solve for m here? Okay, good point. how do we know that this is a right angle, right? Like we don't know that for sure, right? We kind of do, because if this line is straight, right, going across there, then that would be 180 degrees from there to there, right, all the way around. And if this is 90 degrees, then this must also be 90 degrees. So yeah, no, that's a good call though, because it wasn't written in there. Okay, yeah, so let's solve for m here. Okay, so if I call this will be like side C and this side A, and well, I'll keep this as m because it's fine. Then just remember that it's not going to be a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared anymore, because now we have the hypotenuse and we're looking for one of the sides. So this is going to be c squared minus a squared is equal to, and you can say b squared if you want, but it's already written as m, so I'll call it m squared. Okay, so let's fill that in. So c squared would be, so 13 squared minus 12 squared is equal to m squared. Okay, so I'll put that in. So we've got 13 squared plus 12 squared. Oh, not plus. Whoop, I almost made a mistake again. 13 squared minus
25.
12 squared equals 25.
That's what I got.
Yep. Okay, so this is 25 is equal to m squared. What's the last step? Square root, right? So we'll square root that. I don't even need a calculator for that one. What's the square root of 25? It's 5, yeah. Okay, so that's 5 is equal to m. Perfect. Step number 1 solved. Now I know that this is really 5. And now I can just solve for this one really the same way, right? You have the hypotenuse and one of the legs. So just be careful. This isn't going to be a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. This will be, well, y squared, or here we'll go 7 c squared minus a squared is equal to, and we're solving for y, so I'll keep it as y squared. Okay, so this will be 17 squared minus 5 squared is equal to y squared.
And then square root that.
Yeah, and then we'll square it at the end, yeah. So
16.24.
17 squared minus 5 squared equals 264. And then, like you said, very last step would be square root it, right? So 16.2. There, I'll write the intermediate step there though, 264. And then square root both sides. So we get y is equal to 16.2. There. So not too bad, right? As long as you kind of figure out how to work your way through that. Figure out what you would need to solve for y, and then just kind of like find that thing, right? You just need to kind of like, work backwards. All right, so that's it.